Hello and welcome back to the SBK Betting Podcast. Tom Collins here alongside Ross Miller. As ever, we're going to talk you through Saturday's action, provide our NAP and next best, as well as previewing some of the feature races, and a couple of talking points that may have some contentious and controversial opinions. Stay tuned for all of those. We hope you're having a great week so far. As always, we will start the podcast with those opinion pieces, things I like to throw at Ross and hope that he bats it right back at me. And we're going to start with one equine performance and then one human performance. We'll begin with the equine performance because this one is more uplifting, let's say. It was Field of Gold in the 2000 Guineas Irish version last weekend, a winner for the podcast. And he did it so well under Colin Keane, who was kind of a passenger. I know he got a lot of plaudits on social media, but generally those were due to the Kieran Schumacher issues rather than how good the ride was. The horse took him into contention and he absolutely bolted up, Ross. RPR of 125, now a short price favourite for the St James's Palace. How good is this horse?
He was very good, wasn't he, TC? I mean, I went against him. I thought the wide draw could see him race a bit keen. I must admit, after the first furlong, I thought, I might look a little bit intelligent here because he was posted out wide. He had no cover. Clearly, just the benefit of that run at Newmarket has brought him forward. I think what we have to factor in is that Kieran Schumacher strikes me as a very decent guy and no doubt a team player. I'm sure anything Colin Keane wanted to know going into that race would have been forthcoming from Kieran Schumacher. And I thought it looked like the sort of ride and run that had the benefit of the learning from, what went wrong at Newmarket. But yeah, he was really impressive, wasn't he? He just went further and further away. I wondered after the Craven whether he would get a mile and a quarter, if I was honest. I thought he might just be a really strong horse at a mile, but I think there's no doubt in my mind now that, and I think they've said, haven't they, one more run at Ascot over a mile and then up to 10 furlongs. He looks really special. I would just say, if ever he got back on an undulating track on quick ground, I would probably try and oppose him if there was a horse there to oppose him with, because I think it clearly showed that Kieran Schumacher was bang on the money. The undulation and his inability to quicken through that dip on quicker ground cost him the Guineas at Newmarket. Easier or more straightforward track last time, saw him to better effect. So yeah, he was really impressive and he was a good selection at a decent price by you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you said there, including the dip at Newmarket being the reason for potentially his defeat rather than, well, I think the ride wasn't great and we're all in harmony on that, but I don't think it was the ride that completely beat him. It was more the track. So I'm in complete agreement there. And moving forward, I'm really fascinated to see how he develops. Already an RPR of 125, as I say. 130 is within reaching grasp at the moment, and there's every chance he could become one of the best horses that we've seen in the last decade. So hopefully he continues to take those steps forward. It's always nice to have a hype horse, and when it's one like Field of Gold, who's won a Guineas in the Juddmonte Silks, there's always that little bit more sparkle on it. On the other side of things, we're going to talk about a highly controversial thing that happened on Wednesday. And that came at Wexford in the first race. Maybe people weren't tuned in. I certainly wasn't to the jumps action over in Ireland, but I saw it plastered all over social media. If you missed it, the first race at Wexford, there was a big market drift on a horse trained by Charles Burns called Redwood Queen. Controversially, the other horse that was kind of the flip-flop in the market was Beacon Edge, who was sent off a very short price favourite 1-3. Coming down to the last, Redwood Queen is leading 7-1, the SP, or roughly. She was 6-4 in the morning, 2.5 lengths clear. Philip Burns out the side door. Lots of people on social media think it was a soft unseat. I do as well. What do you think, Ross?
I'd go a bit further than that, TC. Someone put on there that I posted and said, George Baker in the Racing TV studio had said that he felt that maybe the horse had come up out of his hands. Now, I felt a bit sorry for George Baker. He's a flat jockey. His brother rides over fences, so it was a little bit unfortunate to ask him to comment on a stride down to a hurdle, I suppose. But coming up out the hands is when they take off a stride earlier than the jockey is expecting. Redwood Queen absolutely didn't do that because that was the only stride she could take off from. If she'd have taken another stride, she'd have been sat in the middle of the hurdle. So that was wrong. I posted about that. Someone commented underneath that, what was my impression? Because they felt maybe it was just a sort of an unbalanced unseat. And to be truthful, which I try to be all the time on social media, my impression is that he jumped off. He took his feet out the stirrups. He let himself out the side door. And I'm still flabbergasted by it. I've heard people before, and I've defended jockeys before, where they've said, they've jumped off. And I've said, you must be absolutely mad. I've got countless broken bones and scars down my left side of my body where I've fallen off horses due to my inability to stay in the saddle. I never voluntarily got off, and I was going a good degree slower than they're going in racing. I think it's as bad as it looks. I think the betting pattern's a problem. It needs to be looked at. the yard have form, don't they, with landing a touch? And I've got no issue with yards landing a touch. I know some people do. For me, it's part of the game, and I love it. And particularly if you can spot it, it's even better, isn't it? If you can, spot what they're up to and play along. I have no issue with people sort of stretching the rules of the game, playing with handicap marks, that sort of thing. But to me, he did I'm showing my generation now. He did a Klinsmann, he took a dive, and it needs to be really thoroughly looked into if they can.
Yeah, there's a story on the Racing Post today, on Thursday, saying the IHRB is going to look into it, which is good because the Wexford stewards decided that nothing was amiss, which is very strange. My opinion is that everyone can make mistakes. That wasn't a mistake, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens of it. We can only have our opinions, say our honest thoughts, and then we'll finally find out the facts and the true figures behind it. And maybe they'll be receiving a ban of some sort. We'll move on to this weekend's racing then. A quick note to say that SBK is still offering their 20% horse racing ACCA boost on Saturday. Minimum 4 legs to qualify for that. Go check out the T's and C's. But as I say every week, if you like putting your horses in combination bets, especially accumulators, why not do it with SBK? You're getting more reward for the exact same stake that you would place with other firms. So SBK is the place to do it. Make sure you take advantage of that offer. We're going to begin our previews this week with the Pinnacle Stakes, now known as the Leicester Piggott Fillies Stakes, a Group 3 contest run at Haydock over at 2:58 p.m. on Saturday. 20 horses were actually in this race in the entry stage after confirmations. But then at declaration stage, we're down to just 8. So it's a much smaller field than anticipated. Estrange is your 9-4 favourite over a couple of horses at 5-2, Beautiful Love and Shaha. Ross, quite tight at the top of the market between the 3 favourites, then a big gap to the rest of the field. Are you looking towards the top of the market or the bottom?
No, I'm looking towards the top of the market, TC, because the forecast is such that I just wouldn't be surprised if one came out and you were left with 7, which sort of takes away my angle of playing 3 places each way. Just on the bare form of it, I wanted to be against Estrange. I think she's probably a very talented filly, but she's rated 100. She's not the highest rated in here, and she's making her seasonal return. So just that was enough for me to want to try and find an angle against her. And the angle I found is Beautiful Love for William Buick, Charlie Appleby. Charlie Appleby's stats, I looked at the day, he was up and around 40%. I imagine he's somewhere still near that. He's absolutely flying. She was outclassed last time in a Group 2 at York, over 1.25 miles behind See the Fire. See the Fire was really impressive on that occasion. I was quite surprised that Beautiful Love got outpaced, though, over that trip, given that she'd run over a mile at Maidan, but she did get outpaced, and she stuck on really nicely. The Dam was a winner over this trip, or just half a furlong shy of this trip, so there's plenty of stamina, and the Dam is by Dubawi, so usually plenty of stamina. She stayed on really well, and she wasn't getting anywhere near to See the Fire, but she was pulling away from those in behind her. I think this trip will suit. We've got rates fitness on her side. This is her 3rd start of the season. She's rated superior to Estrange. She's 111, so on the fact of it, Estrange has got plenty to find. She's not the favourite. 5-2. Charlie Appleby, William Buick on a Saturday afternoon. And interestingly, they only had her entered in this at the early stages. They've got loads of fillies they could run in this, loads of this sort of horse. The fact that she was their chosen one from some way out sort of gives me a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, Beautiful Love then for us at 5-2, one of the joint second favourites in the race. I'm going to be siding with the other joint second favourite in Shaha, also at 5-2, obviously. She looked very raw. Actually, all 3 starts last year she looked raw and on a reappearance. But she managed to get the job done last time at Goodwood in quite good and taking fashion. I don't know whether she's the real deal just yet, but I'm going to take a chance that she is. I don't think you have to be that good to win this race, and she has similar claims to Estrange, kind of an unexposed filly coming into the race with soft ground form and looking to take a step forward. The crucial factor here is that Shaha has race fitness on her side. Estrange not so much. So I'll take Shaha in what looks like a competitive betting heat, albeit not with many runners in the field. We'll move on now to the Group 3 John O'Gaunt Stakes. That's going to be the 3:33 at Haydock on Saturday. Audience, who won the Lockinge and is obviously a Group 1 winner as a result, is your 11-4 favourite under Rab Havlin. 7-2 next in for Al Yanabi, who won over course and distance last time. And then you've got 9-2 about Kim Ross, who's obviously a 7 furlong specialist. Actually won this race back in 2021, and I believe was second in 2022 as well, not running this contest since. Ross, quite a good race this. These horses aren't easy to trust though, right?
Exactly that, TC. Kinross, I mean, I really like him. He's a proper old horse. But I thought last year he was starting to show signs of wear and tear in some of his races. I'd be surprised if he's been hard trained for this on his first start. If the rain came, that would certainly help him. Audience, I can absolutely see the angle on him. I'm against him just because I just find him so damn hard to catch right. If I back him, he runs a stinker. If I don't, he runs well. So I sort of had to leave him out by default, really. But I do really like Alniabi. I think he was a revelation drop to 7 furlongs over this course and distance last time in a listed contest, having last season been sort of stretched from a mile up to a mile and a quarter. We're trying to hold on to him. They clearly felt he had a turn of foot at the end of races, and it never really worked. Where he's dropped back to 7 furlongs last time, bounced out the gate, let rip, was really impressive. I thought he was winning going away, and that came despite getting a few things wrong. Like he wasn't particularly fluent from the gate, so there's improvement there to come. This is, I suppose, a specialist sort of trip, isn't it? And they'll learn with a bit of time. And the other angle is Owen Burrows. I mean, when do you ever find an Owen Burrows horse that doesn't improve for its first start? So I think there's plenty to come from him. I think he could bounce out, make all. I think they've probably got his trip right now. He was a 6 furlong winner the season before last, so he's clearly got bags of pace. And I would think he'll take a bit of catching.
Yeah, Al Yanabi then for Ross. Quick question about this. Let's say, hypothetically, audience adopts those kind of front running tactics that we saw in the lock-ins or we saw at Goodwood last year, where he goes very hard from the outset, gains an early lead, quite a substantial early lead, and then the rivals have to come and catch him. Would you be as happy in running, let's say after a furlong with Al Yanabi, if he's not in front and if he's chasing?
No, I probably wouldn't be. I'd like audience to sort of throw in a bit of a curveball, and and sort of, you can just look a bit sort of awkward at times. That would boost confidence. It's not a race I'll have a strong play in, but I just think Alniabi's got a touch of class about him, and I would be very surprised if he can't improve significantly on what he did last time. And audience, I'm just never really sure what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. The reason I say it is because I'm with audience in this race. I won't actually be having a bet, but as a token selection for the podcast. But the reason I liked audience was I thought he could kind of gain that substantial early lead. On the other hand, sorry, if that doesn't happen and if Al Yanabi leads, then I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm thinking, well, I don't like my horse as much now. So I do think this race kind of depends on what's going to happen in the first furlong and whether Al Yanabi gains the early lead from his inside gate. This is round a bend, remember, 7 furlongs. Or if audience takes the front. I think that's very key. And if you are playing this race in running, that'll be your main angle to look at. As I say, I'm going to be with audience, hoping he gains that early lead. Most of his wins have actually come on a straight track, but he did win at Goodwood last year, going 7 furlongs, I think, on a right-handed bend. So I don't mind the bend for him. I need him to get to the front. He is very hard to catch, as Ross has already said, but he's got the back form to give him a great chance in this heat. Our last proper race preview is going to be the Bronte Cup, the 3:15 at York, the only feature race that we're going to talk about from the Knavesmire. Only there's 7 runners here. Not too many horses in this field, maybe again due to ground, albeit it looks a little bit better there than at Haydock. Term of Endearment, who used to be with Henry de Bromhead, now with Richard Hannon, won this race last year, is coming back to try and retain the crown. He's currently your favourite at a relatively short price. Ross, are you with or against?
I'm against TC. I thought this was very tricky. I think it's a very open race, as the market I looked at suggested. But I'm going to go with Swayno for John Gosden and Thady Gosden, I suppose, and Ryan Moore. Just on the base, I looked at the prices. There was 7-2. There was as big as 5-1 for a thrice raced Gosden trained filly who improved from her first start over a mile to her second start over a mile 4, winning on her second start. Under Luke Catton on a seasonal return over a mile and 4, just got absolutely no luck whatsoever. He didn't give her the best ride, unfortunately, on what was probably a big opportunity for him. Got into plenty of trouble, eventually got going late on, and she closed really nicely to be beaten in 4th place, 3 3/4 lengths, but powered all the way through the final furlong. Goes up in trip now. She's by Camelot, so plenty of stamina there. I mean, he should have won the St. Ledger out of a mare that's produced a winner over this trip. I just thought, given the prices, given Ryan Moore's on board, I thought she was too big to ignore. So she'd be the selection. And given that you like to throw me a curveball, I'm going to throw you one now. I'm giving the answer away. Who was Camelot beaten by in the St. Ledger?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to fall short here, and it's really embarrassing. I can't remember. Who was it?
I thought it was Far, but it wasn't. It was Enki.
Enki, yes. For Godolphin, a lovely horse back in the day. That is a curveball. Thank you for that. I'll make sure I study up next time. So Sueno there for Ross, John of Thady Gosden. Eye-catching jockey booking, as you say, and that is going to attract some money. But I think, what did you say, 9-2-4-1? Very fair price on this horse. She does have £11 to find on official figures with Term of Endearment. But the horse I like here has got even more to find It's Jane Temple. She's only rated 89, term of endearment 107. So a massive gap there in figures. And on that basis, it's very hard to actually put up Jane Temple. But I do think there's a lot more improvement to come from this filly. She's also trained by Jonathan Thady Gosden, who, if you've noticed, I've tipped their horse in each of these 3 feature previews. I think they're going to have a very good day. She's just a too big a price for me, and I liked her turn of foot last time at Kempton. She's got a big stride, and she's going to be probably overlooked in the market a little because of the jockey booking and the fact that Ryan's on the other one. So I'll take a shot on Jane Temple. Again, it's not a race, much like Ross, that we have too much confidence in. Feature race is done now. On to the naps and next bests. Ross, you can go first.
So the nap comes at the perfect time for a nap. You see, 9 o'clock on Saturday evening from Stratford. So if it falls out the back of the telly, you just say nothing, and if it wins, you get the trumpet out and shout all over X. But it's Hilson, quite a sort of topical horse. He caught the eye of the stewards a couple of years back. He caught my eye for the same reason actually at Newton Abbot last time. First start after wind surgery, finished third. Ridden by Robbie Dunn. Now, I would imagine that Robbie Dunn's favourite film is Taken with Liam Neeson. I have a very particular set of skills. If you want Richard Johnson on board, it's because you want a Blood and Thunder ride. If you want AP McCoy on board, it's because you want a certain sort of ride. If you want Paul Carberry on board, it's because you want a certain sort of ride. Robbie Dunn has got a particular set of skills, and it often involves bringing horses forward for their next run, shall we say. He said the horse was very keen through the early stages. There was definitely no need for him to be as keen as that, in my opinion. And his effort just weakened out. That was over 2 mile 5. He's now just £2 above his last winning mark. He goes up in trip to 2 mile 6. Brian Hughes jumps on board. I thought that was a notable jockey booking. I think this horse is well handicapped. I think he should have been far closer last time. Clearly, wind surgery has done a little bit of a job, having been poor before that. So Hilson would be the nap in the 9 o'clock at Stratford. And then at a more reasonable hour, the next best comes at Chester in the 2:45. And it's Tricky Tell for Hugo Palmer, who's, of course, this is his local track. Won over half a furlong shorter than this 6-furlong trip last time on his debut at this track. Showed loads of early pace, sat just in behind the leaders, and then kicked clear. It looked a really impressive horse. He's not got a great draw here in stall 7, but he was really quickly away last time. And then when you look at the horses drawn underneath him, the only horse with previous experience that's got an inside draw that's of any use has been desperately slow away on both starts for Tom Dascombe. And everything else hasn't really run. So there's every reason to think they might be slow away from the stalls on their first start. So I think there's a good chance Tricky Tell will get across, get a decent position. There's absolutely no way that this half furlong is going to inconvenience him. There could be something special in here that's not raced yet. But of the ones that have raced, he's head and shoulders above these. He's clearly got bags of speed. He likes the track. He's the next best in the 2:45.
Hilson then for Ross at Stratford and Tricky Tell at Chester. Best of luck for both of those horses. I do think Tricky Tell has a great chance as well, having briefly looked at that race. You cannot say we don't give you everything on this podcast. We've talked about Haydock, we've talked about York, we've talked about Stratford now, we've talked about Chester, and now I'm going to talk about Lingfield for my nap, which is going to be Shine On Me in the 6:40. So both of our naps run in evening fixtures, which may be popular, may not be in the comment section, but we'll see. This filly, I don't think is much of a secret. She's running first time up for Archie Watson and Wathnan. They bought her from the Breeze Ups earlier this year. She cost 160,000, but she breezed really well. And if you type in Tatsel's, I think it was Tatsel's, it might have been Goff's actually, breeze up sale, you can actually watch the breeze back. I thought she looked pretty good, but she did look a little bit raw, which suggests there might still be some work to go there with her mentally. Maybe that's happened in the interim. Maybe that's still to happen. I think Royal Ascot's probably the plan, and they're going to look for the quick turnaround with Shine On Me, but I wouldn't be surprised if she made a winning start in this race at Lingfield. Obviously, we have no prices at the time of recording. My advice, if you do want to follow me in on this, go in early. Make sure you see the price when it goes live. I don't know what time that'll be, maybe 5 p.m. on Friday, and get on, because there is a chance that she'll probably go relatively short and she'll be strong in the market. If she's not, great. Then maybe we'll get better value. But yeah, be a bit wary about that one. Shine On Me in the 6:40 at Lingers. And my next best is going to be at Haydock in the 2:23, and it's going to be Just Saw for Clive Cox. This listed race has come up really light. I don't think there's much quality in there at all. Richard Hughes has to favourite a filly in no half measures. I think she's pretty beatable, and she's a relatively short price. Just Saw could easily make up into a Group 2, maybe even a Group 1 horse when he finally puts everything together. He's been keen. His breathing hasn't been great, but now he comes back off wind surgery, gets his ground, has a good record fresh. And I think he's around 3-1, 7-2 at the time of recording. That to me is very fair from a good middle draw. So Just Saw is my next best. at Haydock. A reminder that SBK is offering 20% Saturday horse racing ACCA boost, minimum 4 legs. To qualify for that, go and check out the T's and C's on the app. While you're on the app, and if you haven't downloaded it, download it now. While on the app, you can see all other offers and promotions for the weekend and future, including a new customer offer. Bet your first £10 after signing up, and you'll get £40 in free bets with SBK. Go and check that out. Take advantage of it. Free money, basically, to punt some of the horses on this Saturday. Best of luck with any bets that you have. We'll be here next week, and then we'll be leading up to Royal Ascot the week after. We'll see you then. Goodbye.